Hello, leaders. Welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges, the daily show that provides tips and techniques to help you navigate the leadership challenges you face every day. I'm your host, Paul Grau Jr. from the CLC Team, and we work primarily with military leaders to help them be the absolute best leader they can be. Our primary goal here is to help you lead from your very best self. Because let's face it, everyone deserves a great leader. So let's jump right into today's topic.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought that you had a really great idea or a great story that you thought others could learn from, but then kind of self-doubt set in and you doubted yourself? Well, let me tell you, and for some of you, this may be the first time somebody's ever told you this, but let me just say that you do have a story to share, and you are worthy of being heard, and there are others who can learn from you. And that is if and only if you decide to share your story. So yesterday I shared how my wife and I met another couple in Branson over the weekend, and we went to a place called Cheeky Monkey for dinner on Saturday night. If you didn't listen to yesterday's episode, I'd encourage you to download it on iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher and listen to the story about the amazing service that we received at the Cheeky Monkey. Well, while we were at the Cheeky Monkey, we also met a guy named Josh Grant, or Joshua Samuel. Now, Josh was in a wheelchair, and he told us his story about how he was celebrating his 20-year rec-iversary, and he was in Branson to go ziplining to celebrate. Now, remember, I just said Josh is in a wheelchair, and he was in Branson to go ziplining. This 20-year rec-iversary, when he said this, it automatically intrigued us, and we asked him about it. So he went on to tell us a little bit about his story and how he would just love to travel around and tell high schoolers about his story. You see, Josh was in a bad car wreck 20 years ago, and he survived, obviously. I don't know all about his story, but we were inspired by what he did tell us, and he said he'd love to share it with others. But he also said that somebody told him that nobody wants to hear his story. Somebody told him that his story wasn't worth sharing. We adamantly told him that just wasn't true, and his story could probably save lives, especially if he spoke to high schoolers around the nation. The longer we sat there, the more Josh shared, and the four of us were very inspired by his grit and determination, and yet the words he heard from somebody close to him, "Nobody wants to hear your story," seemed to haunt him. Those words were holding him back. Those words were telling him that he wasn't worthy of sharing his story. So I guess today I want to give you two challenges. First of all, your story is worth telling. And you don't need to have a tragedy story turned miracle like Josh's story. You see, we have all lived unique lives, and other people around us can learn from our experiences and our lessons learned. All we need to do is tell our stories. So my first challenge is to figure out how your stories can help others, and then share them. Talk about them, write about them, speak about them. Just share them. And don't let anybody discourage you by telling you that you aren't worthy of sharing your stories or that nobody wants to listen to your stories. The second challenge is to check your negative attitude at the door. I mean, don't be that person who prevents others from sharing their unique stories. I challenge you to think about if you are the discourager. Are you discouraging people from sharing their experiences and stories with others? If so, just think about that for a few minutes. Think about how your discouragement may be preventing others from hearing things they're meant to hear. Think about how your trivial negative talk may be preventing somebody else from saving somebody else's life. I challenge you to think about turning your negative attitude into a positive attitude by becoming an encourager. Instead of discouraging people, think about encouraging people to share their stories.
Hey, as always, thank you for listening. So we have some big things going on here with our online membership group for leaders. It's actually growing, and we're adding a new group specifically for military leaders. Now, we're still working out all the details and bonuses that will be included. But for now, please help us spread the word. This group will be a place where military leaders can learn new skills, refine older skills, and have deep discussions with like-minded leaders who actually get exactly where other military leaders are coming from. We're going to tap into everyone's expertise, and the group members will help bring out the very best in each other. So keep tuned in, and please be sure to let any military leader that you know about this group, and that will be up and running very, very soon. This is going to be different than any other leadership development group out there. So be ready and, man, get excited. Hey, that's it for today. And until tomorrow, run to your challenges.